Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Made by Mumino podcast. My name is Catherine and this is mostly a knitting podcast, although sometimes I do talk about spinning and weaving. Not today though, just knitting today. And it's where I talk about any test knits that I'm working on, any other projects, successes and failures. I think mostly successes today actually, so yeah. But yes, you're very, very welcome, and welcome back if you've been here before. And as usual, I'm filming from Germany, although I'm originally from Wales in the UK. Not that I sound like I am. I was born in Wales, my parents are Welsh, but I left Wales when I was about 2.5 for the first time because my dad was in the military, but they live back in Wales now. But yes, I'm filming here in my permanent home in Germany. So I live in a city called Mönchengladbach, which is kind of over on the western upper side of Germany, not too far from the Netherlands. Yeah, my partner is a Greek national, so it's all very, very multicultural. And we met when I was living in South Korea, of all places. So yeah, and I decided to up sticks and move to Europe, move back to Europe, I should say. And I've been living here for, I think, about 8 years now, so quite a long time. But yeah, I love living here. It's my permanent home, as I said, and I've got lots of yarn shops not too far away. So if you're looking to relocate to Europe, it's not a bad place to live if you're a yarny person. Anyway, so yes. Today I am going to show you a couple of finished objects, a couple of test knits that are still in progress, and a few sort of plans that I've got. So yeah, grab yourself a cup of tea. I've got some nice peppermint tea today, and let's get started. Today I am wearing the Field Day cardigan from Hayley's Medley, otherwise known as Ozetta. And I knit this to pattern in size L, which is I think the 4th or the 5th size, using 2 strands of woolly knit held double. So this is 4-ply British wool, and it's a real workhorse yarn. It's not the softest in the world, I will admit, but it's a really good price point, and they often have good offers and things on. And I'm pretty sure I've never debobbled this or depilled this. And it gets a lot of wear, so it is a good workhorse yarn, great for sort of top layers, that kind of thing. And I used, well, how much did I use? Just under 3,000 metres altogether. As I said, it was hull double. And it comes in these big cones. If you're not able to get woolly knits, Holst is a good substitute. They're super soft. Anything like that that's kind of a sort of quite a tight, thin sort of woolly wool, that kind of thing would be an absolutely perfect substitute. This pattern was originally made for DK weight yarn on 4.5mm needles, so a US 7, and I knit, like I said, exactly to pattern, got gauge with woolly knit held double, and I'm really happy with it. I made it, I can't remember if I already said, but I made it about 2 years ago, and it gets a lot of wear and tear. It's a simple drop shoulder cardigan, goes with everything. This colourway I think is oatmeal. I just put some simple plastic, I think they are. Yeah, plastic buttons on there. So yeah, can't really go wrong. It's a nice top layer to throw over because we're in August, nearly the end of August. It's starting to get a little bit chilly in the mornings here. Definitely feels like soup season is around the corner. I can't lie, I'm quite excited. But yeah, this is a really nice, comfortable cardigan that I can definitely recommend. You start by knitting the back and then the front, and then add the sleeves afterwards. So as long as you're confident picking up stitches, or willing to have a go at picking up stitches to add on the sleeves and the things, then you'll be absolutely fine. And it's a nice pattern. Okay, let's move on to some finished objects. My first finished object today is a test knit, and I will show it to you. It's always really difficult to show finished shawls on here. So here we go. Isn't that gorgeous? It's so delicate. I wish you could feel how light and airy this is. This is a lace triangular shawl from Simone Berchtold, who is known as the Midnight Architect on Instagram. And this is the first time I've test knit for her, and it's been a really lovely experience. I've really enjoyed knitting this. So you start off the construction of this shawl in a corner, do garter, 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 a few different lace charts, and then the border. Isn't that gorgeous? It's so delicate. So Zimona, she noticed or one of the other testers noticed an error in the pattern. This bit at the end here was supposed to be knit in garter, but I've knit it in stockinette. But to be honest, I think it looks really nice in stockinette, so so I'm not going to change it. I'm quite happy with it. So you can see it a bit better. I'll pop some film up here of that I did yesterday. So yeah, what can I say about this? The pattern is written for a lace weight yarn. Any lace weight would work. To be honest, I think this would work really, really well in a mohair or a surrey alpaca or something as well. I think it would be gorgeous. In fact, I have some really, really fine surrey alpaca from Katia, I think. So that would be perfect. I could make another one. Focus. So yeah, anyway, this is, it's a lace weight pattern, and I think though it would work in other weights as well if you're prepared to play around with the needle size to get a sort of a similar light and airy feel, although I don't think you'd be able to achieve that without the lace weight. I knit it on the recommended 4mm needles, that's a US 6. I got gauge 22 stitches by 34 rows in 10cm of garter, and I used one of my favourite indie dyers, WIP Yarn Company, because I had some left over from a previous project. So that's his little logo there. As I've said in previous episodes, this is Castor lace, and it is a beautifully soft base that's a mixture of Falkland Merino, Gotland and Corriedale, and it's 650 metres per 100 grams, so it's a beautiful fine yarn. I've got a little bit left. And I used just over a skein of yarn for this, so I had a little bit left over from a previous project, a test knit that I did for Eleanor Mortensen, and this was absolutely perfect. So I made mine slightly bigger than the original pattern. I put in a couple of extra repeats of chart B, so there's a couple of opportunities to make the to customise the size of the shawl. The first is in the garter section. You can just knit it for a bit longer and make sure that you've got the right multiple of stitches when you start the next chart, and you can also do a couple of extra repeats of chart B if you want, or fewer depending on what you want. So I did, I think, 2 extra repeats of chart B, and mine has ended up with a wingspan of about 2 meters. I don't know what that is in inches. Did I write it down? Yay, thank you, past me. Yeah, about 82 inches. After blocking, and I used lace blocking wires, although to be honest I didn't really need it. Lace opens up beautifully when you block it, and I find that often with these shawls they block nicely under their own weight, so if you've got somewhere to hang up a shawl along its long end, its own weight will pull it down really, really nicely. Because I love knitting, I love doing all this crafting and so on. I hate blocking with wires. I have really bad knees, like properly bad knees, and crawling around on the floor trying to block is, oh, my partner is very kind, he always helps me do it, and yeah. It's not fun, it's really not fun, so I need to work out some way of blocking under its own weight here in my little apartment, but there we go. So I didn't use the written instructions, I used the chart and or the charts, and I found it fairly easy to keep the repeat in my mind. So on chart B, the stitch count in between the stitch markers, if you're marking the pattern repeats, it does vary slightly on 1 or 2 of the rows, so just keep that in mind if you're using stitch markers to keep track of your pattern repeats. But other than that, it was a really simple pattern to follow. I found I didn't really need to use stitch markers to do the pattern repeats for chart B. I did, however, put in lifelines, so every time I finished one of the charts, I put a lifeline in, just so that I could keep on top of where I was in case I needed to rip back, because it is a nightmare ripping back lace. I also recommend putting it in a lifeline at the end of the garter stitch section as well, because equally ripping back or tinking back in garter stitch can sometimes be a bit tricky as well if you're not used to reading your knitting. But yeah, I'm super happy with this. I wore it yesterday when my partner and I went out for a walk, and the colour just made me feel really, really happy. It went really well, I thought, with what I was wearing, and yeah, it's delightful. So yeah, really happy with the way that this turned out. And definitely a pattern that I can recommend if you're looking for a light and airy shawl. I am tempted to make another one using some floof, I must say. I'll see how I feel about this. Because I've got a lot of other things on my needles right now, which I'm just about to show you. I've been busy this week. This is yet another Musselburgh for my partner. If you're not new to the channel, you know that my partner, when we go to yarn shops and yarn festivals, things like that, he often picks out a nice skein of yarn that he'd like another Musselburgh made out of. And this one we were in, I think it was the Bastelkiste in Luxembourg, and he picked this yarn out. This is from Linares Yarn Co. And this is their Barefoot in the colourway Rhinebeck, and it's a really nice yarn. It's really, it stretched a little bit when it was, it grew a little bit when it was blocking, and I've just made, yet another Musselburgh for him, and there it is. This is a nice autumny feel to it, so yeah, I enjoyed knitting this. One of somebody commented on the last podcast episode that as I make so many of these, because I've made so many, one person asked if I could take a picture of all of his Musselburghs together. Yes, absolutely, I will do that. I keep trying to remember to corral all of them. They're all over the place, and do a photo shoot for all of them. I will do it at some point. And somebody else said maybe I could do a hints and tips video for making these. Yeah, also another fantastic idea, definitely. Next time I'm casting one on, I will definitely do a little reel at least or something. So yeah, it's a really nice idea. Thank you to the people who asked those questions. But yeah, I knit these a lot with 4-ply wool. I use a 3.25mm needle. I tend to use Addies at their trios. I just find the cast on easier because I'm not a crocheter. But yeah, it's a really, really nice go-to pattern. It's one of those ones that's popular for a reason. So you start at one end, casting on just a few stitches, then you increase outwards until you get to the desired size. Knit, 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 knit. Remember to sew your end in, and then do the decreases for the other end. And then you end up with this lovely double thickness hat. And if you've seen pictures of my partner, in fact I'll put a picture of him wearing it up here, he shaves his head so he gets cold, hence why he's got so many Musselburghs to keep his head warm. But yeah, you end up with a nice double layer warm and cozy hat. And I have a little bit left over of this yarn as well now, so this is the leftover. Thinking as autumn is approaching, I've always fancied making one of those little knitted pumpkins, you know, the ones that you can put little cinnamon stick in to as like a room decoration or whatever. I do fancy making one. If anybody has a recommendation for a good pattern for making knitted pumpkins, please feel free to comment. I'd love to have your suggestions. I've got a few little nuggets of sort of autumny coloured yarn that would be fun to make a little group of pumpkins out of. But yeah, if you've got any suggestions, comment down below. That'd be really cool. Maybe this will be a pumpkin if I have some time to do that. So yes, that is yet another Musselburgh for my partner. I should have mentioned when I was talking about the Musselburgh, you probably already know this if you've come across the pattern before, but the pattern's written in such a way that you get the gauge as you're knitting. So technically you could make it in any weight yarn that you wanted to, because you, as I said, you work out your gauge and how big it needs to be after you've knit sort of an inch or so worth of rows. So yeah, have a go. It's such a versatile pattern. It's really, really cool, and I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, should have mentioned that before. Okay, my next thing to show you is a WIP. and this is living in my... I've got this knitting basket. It's not a knitting basket. To me, anything like this is a knitting basket. But this lives on the floor next to where I sit here, and it's usually got the current project that I'm working on in. And this is a test knit for knitting for breakfast. I think I showed it to you in the last episode. Where is this going? There we go. How gorgeous is this? I'll show this to you a bit better. Oh, this makes me smile. So knitting for breakfast, they make very pretty, very delicate, very just really, really cute patterns. This particular one is going to be a tee. It's available in 11 sizes, so it's really size inclusive. And if I didn't mention, this is available in 9 sizes as well, so nice and size inclusive too. But this, so this is going to be a little tee. It's made of a double strand of mohair, and most of the testers are using a whole variety of different colours, and they look incredible. Everything from sort of really pastel-y colours to really, really bright and happy colours as well. So, and also a really different variety of yarn brands as well. A lot of people are using drops, kid silk. So it's a really cute pattern and quite versatile. Several of the testers are also making it in things other than mohair as well. It does change the look of it a little bit because the mohair smooths out these little flower motifs. But this is the Enjoy Flowers tee, and I didn't knit on it that much last week because it got really hot again, and knitting with mohair was just, no thank you. So I'm using 2 different yarns here. I'm using as the darker colour, this is Along Avec Anna in Praline, and this is an indie dye that I picked up when I was on the Dutch coast, and all the details about everything I talk about. Oh, I didn't say that in the opening, did I? Everything's down below, so or message me if you can't find something or whatever. But yeah, all of this yarn was from Stash. I was really lucky. When I was at Wonderwall with my mum earlier this year, this yarn was on offer. So the maker was selling off big bags of it for a slightly reduced price because it wasn't using the core colour that she normally uses. I don't know if you can see that. It's got a slightly golden tinge to it. It's not the same colour as the mohair. But I think it's really nice, and I think it definitely plays really nicely with this. So, and this was also something that I picked up a while ago, so it was in Stash. This is a round yoke construction, and as I said, you hold the 2 yarns together throughout. Oh, I should have said actually, I am using a slightly different yarn in the first bit, so I don't think I have enough of the lighter colour. So for the first bit of the yoke, I held together 1 strand of the lighter colour with this, which is a little bit left over from a Volmet Verve skein that I had years ago. But this, it's really, really soft. So I'm using that. To be honest, this would be a great pattern for using up scraps of mohair as well. I was really tempted. So I've done the first 3 motifs, and I was just starting the 4th, and I was really tempted to have a look in my stash and pull out another colour of mohair to make that line of flowers a different colour again. I was thinking maybe a pale green or a pale blue or something might work well. But yeah, I just stuck with these. But I think it would work really, really well to use lots of scraps of mohair in this, to be honest. As long as you kept a light section and a dark section, then I think it would work really, really nicely. But yeah, the deadline for this isn't for another couple of weeks, so I've got plenty of time to work on this. And yeah, really, really happy with it. It's going to be super soft and fluffy. I've never made anything in all mohair before. But yeah, really enjoying it. But there is a lot of floof everywhere when I'm working on this. I was wearing a white t-shirt yesterday, And when I got up after working on this for a couple of hours, so I realised I was just plastered in a layer of pink floof. You know, there are worse things to be covered in, so it's absolutely fine. So yes, this is the Enjoy Flowers tee from Knitting for Breakfast, and I'm knitting it exactly to pattern, and it uses 4.5mm needles, so a US 7 for the body, so it's a reasonably fast knit as long as the weather's not too hot. The next project to show you is another test knit that I've just started prepping for. So this is for the lovely MJ of Ellis Knitwear, and I've test knit for her a couple of times before, and she always does these kind of quite classic patterns, quite traditional patterns, but with a bit of a modern twist. And this time it's a sort of a Scandinavian feel motif on a sort of an 80s style, quite boxy cardigan. I'll put a picture up here for you. And I've been keeping an eye out for the test knit call for this for a while. I've been watching MJ working on this on Instagram. It's going to be a steek, and I've never done a steek before, and I was really attracted to the motif. I really like the fit. I thought this would be a great overlayer, sort of in the autumn or something like that. So yeah, I was really looking forward to the test call for this going out, and I'm really chuffed that MJ's picked me to be part of the group. So I thought I'm trying to be a bit careful with my yarn shopping at the moment, trying to make more, use more yarn that I'm bringing in, yeah, to try and sort of balance it out a little bit. So I shopped my stash, and I'm using some special yarn, which, but yeah, for a steek, this is it's a little bit kind of, but it'll be fine. I'm using this beautiful yarn from Nellie and Eve. I have 3 skeins of this. It's 450 meters per 100 grams, and it's a 4-ply fingering weight, and it's just gorgeous. It's dyed with plant dye, so there's a little bit of variegation, which I think is going to make the finished garment look really interesting. But this is going to be held double throughout because the pattern is for a DK. It's going to be quite a chunky cardigan when it's finished, I think. The other yarn that I've chosen is this, again from Stash. I've had this for a couple of years now, and this is Hula of Woolen Twine's Shetland Welsh Mountain DK, and this is 230 meters per 100 grams, and it's just a beautiful natural black. It's gorgeous. It's really, really nice. Both of these yarns are what for me quite special yarns because they're a slightly higher price point. You can't really buy loads of it because it's just not available. So I have a tendency to sort of hoard these sorts of special yarns, but I need to just use them and enjoy them. So yeah, I'm being brave. These are going to be steeked. Ah! It'll be fine, just breathe. So yes, I swatched yesterday and I blocked it, and how gorgeous is that? It's giving me strawberry cream in plain chocolate vibes. I am loving this. Can you see that variegation of the pink? It's gonna be gorgeous, and I'm being super stingy with my swatch. I did that so that I didn't cut any of the yarn or anything, so I could knit my swatch in the round. So I will be using this in my project so that I can use every last scrap of it. So yeah, I am super happy with that. It's feels like a good start, and I've got gauge. Where is the pattern? I have the pattern here somewhere. So this comes in 9 sizes, or will come in 9 sizes, and I'm knitting, I think I'm doing the 4th size. Yeah, so this calls for about 25 to 30 centimetres of positive ease. I've got to be honest, I'm going to get a bit less than that, but that's fine. I don't want to be too swamped by it because it is going to be quite a chunky cardigan. And it will work for any DK weight yarn. I think the sample that she did is in Raumergarn. Yeah, that's right. So anything like that would work. The important thing with a steek, as far as I understand it, is it has to be a woolly wool. It won't work with superwash because you need to cut up through your knitting and it needs to stay there and even felt a little bit so that it doesn't unravel. So yeah, it's absolutely imperative to use a woolly wool. The pattern uses a 4mm, so a US 6 for the body, and that's what I used for my swatch. I'm thrilled that I got gauge. I'm really happy that I got gauge because I really wanted to use these yarns. Let's have another look. Oh, it's gonna look smashing. I'm really excited about this. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on that. The question's going to be, I think, what buttons to use. I love the wooden toggles that MJ has used on her sample, if you saw it in the picture just now. They're really cool. I don't know what kind of buttons to use. What would you put on it? I'm going to have to have a little think about that. There's a possibility that I'll be going to unravel in September, maybe. So I could have a look for some buttons there, perhaps. Anyway, I always find it really difficult to choose what buttons to put on a project. I mean, I tend to keep a little stash of basic sort of coconut type buttons and you know, plastic buttons and wooden buttons, that kind of thing. But for a project like this, I think it needs something a bit special. I don't know. I'll have a think. If you have any suggestions or any favourite button sellers on Etsy or whatever, I'd love to hear about it. Because I do always struggle with what buttons to put on projects, so I'd like to hear what you what your opinion is on it too. Okay, is there anything else to say about this? No, I don't think so, other than I'm very excited and I'm really happy to be using some special yarn. This feels good. It feels like it's going to be a fun project to do. So yeah, wish me luck. The last project I have to show you today is another WIP, and it's going to be a long-term WIP. If you saw the last episode 38, you would have seen that I treated myself to a new book, 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn, and as I was flicking through it in the shop when I was wondering whether or not to get it, I saw this gorgeous shawl pattern. I'll put it up here, the Yéyé, I think it's called, by Liz Smith, and it's just it just really appealed to me. I've made an English paper piece quilt before, and I made it all in hexagons, and I just love that look. I think it's just so appealing. It's just real sort of cozy cottage vibes, and I really like it. And I thought, what's there to stop anyone making a whole blanket from this, not just a shawl? So I have been on the lookout, as you will know if you've been here for a while, for a pattern to use up all of my scraps of West Yorkshire spinners. I tend to get, well actually no, my mum normally gets it for us, their signature sparkle. So every year they do a Yule Tide or some sort of festive sparkly sock yarn, and yeah, I have all of these scraps left over, and I've been on the lookout for a pattern that will eat these up and make a really cool festive blanket. And yeah, I thought, why not try and adapt the Yéyé shawl for that? And it's working really nicely so far. I'll put a little picture up here because it's quite difficult to show you the individual hexagons. But I'm making, yeah, all these little hexagons in lots of different colours. Plain and patterned in all of my scraps. Oh, there's a couple more there as well. The red one. And a cream one. I think I'm going to try and find more scraps in this cream, because I think it'd be really nice to kind of tone it all down a bit, to have lots of the cream hexagons sort of interspersed throughout all of the coloured ones. But yeah, this is what I'm doing so far. I think this is going to be my new handbag project for a little while. I'm absolutely fine if this takes me a few years to finish. I'm having a lot of fun. So you knit these individual hexagons, then you seam them into long strips, and then you sew the long strips together. Yeah, which is perfect because I can still knit on it during the summer if it's really hot, because you're only knitting these tiny little hexagons. I have adapted the pattern slightly because the original was for a shawl. It is very, very drapey and very lovely, and yeah, whatever, but I needed it to be a little bit denser for a blanket. So the pattern is for 4-ply, and I think it asked for 4mm needles, And I did originally knit my first hexagon in that. I wasn't happy with it. It was too drapey. It didn't have the structure that I wanted for a blanket. So I went down to a 3.25mm needle, which is a US 3. And yeah, I was much happier with that. Each hexagon takes about 5 grams of yarn. So as I think somebody on Instagram commented as well, this would be a great advent project as well. Because if you've got 20 gram minis, you could make 4 of these hexagons from each of your minis, which would make a lovely wrap as well. So unfortunately, this isn't available as a standalone pattern. This is only available in the book. So I do apologise for that. I'm sure that you can find somewhere online to find a free sort of version of how to knit a hexagon if you wanted to go for something with a similar look. You will notice that this isn't plain yarn. I've added some stellina. I've never done that before. I must admit, I'm not really a sparkly knits kind of person, whatever that means. But I have treated myself. I've got some stellina. I got stellina in 3 different colours. A silver, a pale gold and like a rose gold sort of colour. Yeah, I've never really knit with stellina. To be honest, it's because I worry about the metal cutting through the other fibres and things, so I worry about the longevity of the project. But to be honest, if you're going to use stellina, the best time to do it is for a festive blanket, right? So why not? And it means I've got a little bit hopefully left over if I want to add a bit of sparkle to something else. But I thought, why not? Because most of these yarns have already got a little bit of stellina in them. You can see this one. What was this one called? I think this one was called Vintage Tinsel. How cute is that? So yeah, I'm having lots of fun with this. I might cast on another little one. I think each hexagon takes me about 2.5 hours, something like that, to make. So we've got a long car journey coming up next week, or later this week actually. So I'm hoping to get a few of these hexagons done on the car journey, or I might cast on some socks. We shall see. But yeah, I'm having lots of fun with this. Also, I'm so sorry. I really am. I apologise in advance. It's given me an excuse to use my gorgeous little festive bucket bag, pouch, sorry, from Sherry Iris. My partner treated me to, well no, it was my Christmas present. He bought me this beautiful Christmas box from Sherry Iris. Oh no, I said the C word. Last year for Christmas, and it came with this beautiful pouch, all these little robins and things on it. It's adorable. So I'm using that. And yes, it has a matching pouch, but I'm keeping all of the little balls of yarn in. It's not really big enough, if I'm honest, but my other festive blanket bag, it has already got a blanket in it. So yeah, I'll just have to make do. It'll be fine. I'll find a tote bag or something to put it in. I don't know why I had the urge the other day. It was last week. I just had this urge to get out all of this festive stuff. And I really don't know why. August. I don't know what I was thinking. Never mind. The Lebkuchen isn't even in the supermarkets yet. That should be next week. But I don't know what got into me. I do apologise. So yes, that's all my projects that I'm working on at the moment. A couple of finished objects, a few WIPs. In terms of knitting plans, I'm being very selfish this year and I'm not doing any gift knitting. The only thing I might possibly do is a shawl for my mother-in-law, because I ran out of time last year and she didn't mind in the slightest. I've said this before, but she's always slightly bemused by my crafting, because when she was a small child in Greece, if you didn't make your own clothes, you didn't have any clothes. So me choosing to make this stuff for fun is very confusing to her. But I love her to bits. We get on so well. She's such a lovely person, and she's, yeah, I have a lot of respect for her, and I really want to make her something nice. And I felt terrible that I didn't get round to doing it last year, so I will try and make her something this year. So knitting plans, yes. I'm going to try and make a little shawl for my mother-in-law. In fact, did I put the yarn here? Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, there we go, I can show this to you. Knitting plans. I've got 2 skeins of this, and it's just, what is this? Lana Grossa Cool Wool in a superwash merino. 50 grams is 160 meters. So I'm going to find a little shawl pattern and make her something. Or I might make a scarf. I don't know. I'll see how I feel about it, but it's really soft. It's really nice. She doesn't like itchy wool. So this is going to be perfect for her, and I'll cast something on. I could even make another one of those. If I got another skein of this, because I've got 2 of these, I could make another one of those Bramble shawls for her. Anyway, we'll see. So knitting plans that. The other thing that I would like to knit is another pullover, another sweater for my partner. I've got some yarn that I've been saving for a while. What is it called? Is it West Yorkshire Spinner's Croft? I think so. I picked it up, I think last year before maybe, when I was in Abergavenny, which is my mum's local yarn shop. And I would really, really like to knit a cable jumper for my partner. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the Gib. Is it the Gib? No, what's it called? The Moby, that's right, from Petite Knit. I bought the pattern, I'm ready to get going. I was just waiting for the right, feeling that it's the right time to cast it on. So I might cast that on at some point. Oh no, I'm not going to have time to do it. Sorry, I'm rabbiting on now. Knitting plans. I want to make another sweater for my partner in the not too distant future, but I doubt I will have cast it on by the time I speak to you next. So yes. I think that's it for today. Later on this week, my partner and I, we're driving to the UK for a couple of weeks. He desperately needs some time off. So it's the perfect solution. Drive to my parents' house. He gets to have lots of naps and hang out with my family, which for some reason he enjoys doing. And I get to hang out with my mum and have lots of knitting chat and eat cheese and drink whiskey with my dad. So happy days. So yeah, we're driving to the UK for a couple of weeks, and I'm really looking forward to it. It means at least 10 hours of knitting time in the car on the way there and again on the way back. So I'll have to think about what my knitting is going to be. Definitely not the mohair tee, because I don't think it'll be fun on a 10-hour car journey with a car full of floof. So probably going to be working on my blanket or maybe some socks. We shall see. And yeah, as I said, at the end of that trip, depending on which day we decide to come back, we might have time to pop into Unravel Festival, because it's kind of on the way back on the last weekend that we're there. We shall see. So yes, that's it for today. I haven't been to any yarn shops or anything. No irresponsible purchases have been made. So at the end of the episode today, I've just got a little bit of footage from my sort of daily walks around the area. So yeah, hope you enjoy that. Happy crafting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye bye.